Okie dokie. Hello again. Let's try to do some more of this. Apparently this ending is a lot more in depth than I remember, so this might be one of a couple of playthroughs until we beat this game. Alright, so anyway, welcome to the Ever 17 stream again, and we're playing as both characters actually, because the timelines have now converged, and so now we have two timelines. We have we have my husband streaming his sneeze in the distance, and then we also have Takeshi, whose text box is represented by the color green, and then the blonde kid, whose name we've learned now is Hokuto, and his box is represented by the color blue. And to recap the last episode, in Hokuto's timeline we learned that Sarah and Hokuto are siblings. We knew this before, but now we can put it into context of the way that they actually look, I guess. And in Takeshi's timeline, we learned about mermaid tears and the legend of the 800-year-old nun, which I've never heard of, but I guess maybe that's a thing. And we argued with you about the validity of Rip Van Winkle, which you was so adamant about, and then suddenly that made you fall into a catatonic state. So then we zip over to Hokuto's timeline, where we have you arguing that Rip Van Winkle doesn't exist, and we're starting to realize that these yous are very different in these timelines, and one of the things that we've learned is that both of their names are different. So, in Takeshi's timeline, we knew the name to be Yubisei-whaaaaaaat, Haru part meaning spring, and then in Hokuto's we have Yubisei-whaaaaaaat, which is fall. So, different yous in different timelines. Interesting. So in Takeshi's timeline, we go back and only played a little bit in that timeline. We learned that Koko has been calling Takeshi daddy and Sugumi mommy, which is odd for a 14-year-old to do, I guess. I don't know, 14-year. I feel like you grow out of that. Anyway, shall we continue? Okay. No, wait, there we go. Alright, it's 11:06 p.m. After finally convincing Koko, I went to see Yu. Even before I had gone to rescue Chami, Yu had seemed to be recovering her strength. That's right, we're in Takeshi's timeline right now, and it was just right after Koko, and Koko trying to call us mommy and daddy. Woohoo! But the way she looked when she had first started feeling pain didn't seem normal. I was still concerned about her even though she looked better, so I decided to make sure that Yu was alright. Sora told me that I could find... Oh, sorry about that. That was loud. Sora told me that I could find Yu in the security office. I entered the room, and so now we have a special illustration of Yu at the screens. Anyway, I entered the room. Yu was sitting in front of the console, staring blankly at the screen. Hi. I called out a greeting as I sat down on the seat next to her. Yu grabbed a coffee cup and took a big gulp and said, "Thank you." Huh? I didn't have a chance to say it earlier, right? So, thank you. Yu's eyes were fixed on the display. Are you talking about when I carried you to the infirmary earlier? Yeah. You don't have to thank me. I just want to ask you a question. What caused it anyway? Cause? What are you talking about? You still wouldn't look at me. A normal healthy person wouldn't just suddenly clutch their chest in pain, you know? And besides, you said it happens all the time? What's that all about? When I asked, she turned the seat halfway and stood up. Hey, Kurinari, do you remember why I came to Limu? You abruptly changed the subject. I didn't understand why she was asking the question, but I answered her anyway. Yeah, I do. You came to get a part-time job for the holidays, but it was just an excuse to search for your father who's been missing for 17 years, right? I remember the story that you had told me in front of the merry-go-round the first day. My mother has convinced herself that my father is already dead. But I know that my dad is still alive somewhere. He has to be. My father just went missing and his remains were never found. I just have to find out if he was alive or dead. If he's alive, of course I want to see him. And if he's dead, I wanted to find some kind of evidence. Otherwise, I won't give up. I just can't accept it. Just like that time, I didn't know what to say to her. The story of the 800-year-old nun came to mind. You believed that the 800-year-old nun actually existed. How in the story, the sound of the bell had stopped one day, but nobody actually found her body. And when I come to think of it then, I realized that was probably Yu's wish. She probably was mixing her feelings about her father's situation with the story of the nun. It occurred to me like that. Oh, so that's what I was researching just now.
And did you find out anything?
Nothing. I can't figure out the password. I give up.
I looked at the monitor. An authentication window was being displayed, and the cursor was flashing without a sound. I see. Biting her lip, Yu glanced down dejectedly. She was wrapped in a hazy blue light from the display. I picked up the cup from the table and sipped some of Yu's leftover coffee. It was cold. It's alright. I know you'll see him again. I looked down into the cup. The black coffee hid the bottom of the cup from my view.
Thank you. But I don't think I'll see him again.
What? I looked up in surprise. Yu was forcing herself to smile. She squinted her eyes and looked off in the distance.
I came here because I thought I wanted to find out about my dad, but I realized that actually wasn't it at all. I'm running out of time. I've gone way past my limit. So that's why, before the time comes, I had to know the truth.
She's running out of time? She doesn't think that she'll see him again? It happens all the time. She's been suffering with her hand on her chest. No, it couldn't be. I didn't even want to think about it. Closing my eyes, I took a deep breath and tried to shake bad thoughts from my mind. Hey, you? What do you mean by that? Yu crossed her arms behind her back and started walking slowly away, head down. She stopped in front of the wall, turned around, and walked back in front of me. The sound of her shoes echoed on the hard floor, the cursor silently flashing on the display. The cold coffee in my hand. I looked into the cup again. The glossy liquid was rippling with small waves.
I can't tell you.
The sound of her shoes stopped abruptly. Why? She raised her face quietly and said,
If I start telling you now, I might talk about other things that I don't want to talk about. But, Kurinari,
Yu interrupted my words and went on.
Have you ever done something wrong or sinned, Kurinari?
Oh, I'm pretty sure he has. Sinned?
Yes, a massive sin. I don't care whether you believe in God or not. I'm asking if you've committed a sin that was morally wrong and there was nothing you could do to mend it.
Well, I think this is my last choice. Let me just make sure I'm making the right one because boy, could you really mess up everything if you don't answer correctly. And I'm pretty sure I have to say, no, but I just want to make sure. Yes, okay, cool. Alright, I'm gonna say no, which I feel like is a lie, but okay. I mean, I guess he hasn't murdered anybody, but, he seems like a sinful sort. Anyway. Come on. I made lots of mistakes, and you know why? It's because I'm human. I'd be lying if I told you I'd never hurt people or cared about or broke their hearts, but I don't know if those are godless, massive sins.
Well, you're admirable.
What?
No, I mean it. On the other hand, I'm not human anymore. I crossed a line that should have never been crossed. I turned my back on God, and that's why I can't tell you. If I tell you now, it would just be an excuse. It's like an original sin to me. I could never escape from it, and I don't intend to. As long as I live, yes, as long as I live, I must carry this sin with me. But, you might think I'm horrible, but I don't regret anything. It's probably better this way.
because this way I'm the only one who sinned. And that means I'm the only one who will be punished. She has no sin to carry on. She? Who are you talking about? About myself. My other self. Your other self? Are you telling me that you have a split personality? You didn't say anything and took a cup from my hand. She sipped the cold coffee, and for some reason you suddenly tilted the cup. The black liquid, overtaken by the force of gravity, went splashing onto the floor. Yu's eyes were fixed on me. There was no expression on her face. All of the emotion had gone from her face, and I couldn't read what she was thinking. Her eyes were dark, dull, and without a spark, like a pair of ash-gray glass beads. Eventually, Yu whispered, "She is my sister." Your sister? Yes. And at the same time, she is me. She and I are twins, you see. She is my twin sister. Oh, and now we are zipping back. Now we're back in Hokuto's timeline. Anyway. Fraternal twins? Yu yelped right next to my ear. What are you so surprised about? Didn't I tell you? Well, yeah, I heard about that. You and Mayo were twins, but nothing about fraternal or identical or anything like that. Oh, but... I laughed at that, thinking, You cocked your head. Well, of course we're fraternal twins. I mean, I'm a guy and Sarah's a girl. So? Monozygotic is when one egg is fertilized and then that embryo splits into two. So both twins have the same exact genetic makeup, and that's why they're called identical, because they look the same as each other, and of course, they have the same gender. So for identical twins, you can't have anything other than two girls or two boys. But dizygotic, on the other hand, is when two different eggs are fertilized by different sperm. So they're two separate entities from the beginning, each with a different genetic makeup, and that way, they may or may not be the same gender. They may not even look much alike. They're basically just like other siblings. So they're more like siblings who happen to be in their mother's body and get born about the same time. I get it. So if a boy and a girl are twins, they have to be fraternal, not identical? Exactly. So, what were we talking about again? You forgot? Oh, well. It started when you said something like, so Mayo and you are twins, but you aren't any good at computers like Mayo is, and in fact you've got absolutely no aptitude for them. Why is that? And then I said, it's because we're fraternal twins. Oh, right, I remember now. You flailed her limbs around the top of the ruins, and that was right. You and I were on top of the Lemurian ruins. So after all that, do you get it? Huh? Get what? She paused in her flailing. The reason why I'm no good at computers. Oh, that. It's like this, right? Because you and Mayo are different from one another as any other siblings. Unlike identical twins, your genetic strengths, characters, or whatever are completely different. Right. I'd say that our infrared vision is the only inherited trait that we even share. And aside from that, I don't think that we're very much alike. So, what are we talking about before that? I sighed and started explaining. But before that, I needed to explain what you and I were doing there. It went back to that afternoon, before I knew my real name. Sora came out with some information rather abruptly. Tanaka Yoichi-san passed away 17 years ago. Tanaka Yukie-san passed away 15 years ago as well. Yoichi-san was Yu's father and Yukie-san was her mother. Both of Yu's parents had passed away. It was an unfortunate fact. There was proof, including a dated mail and other files. I had seen it with my own eyes, but Yu still wasn't convinced, and in her heart she still believed that her father was alive. Of course, regarding her mother, she was even more vehement. But my mother works at Leimu. We were all living together until right before all of this happened. There's no way that she died 15 years ago. It was hard to know what to say, but I said, maybe she isn't your real mother. Meaning, she might not even be Yukie-san. Yu was shaking her head back and forth as if to say impossible. And after a while, Yu spoke as if in a dream. If only I could hack into there. Then I could find out the details and get the whole story. The there that she meant was Lemi's high security data. All afternoon and into the night, she had tried to hack her way but kept getting rejected at the confirmation point. She knew the password. A empty fall sky, a single cuckoo calls out, brings a chill to me. She kept trying the variations, caps, lowercase, varying widths, English, German. She enlisted Sora and Sarah's help, but they tried every possibility they could think of, but all to no avail. Lemi had built a high, impenetrable castle, and Yu was turned back again and again right at the gates. She was stricken with frustration and grief. Finally exhausted and at the loss, she found her way back to the Lemurian ruins. And by the time I spotted her, she had climbed all the way up to the top. I sat down beside her, and neither of us spoke. But from time to time, Yu would let out a sigh like she had thought of something. Time passed slowly. Listen, kid, you get premonitions, right? After about the 153rd sigh, Yu suddenly came out with that question. Can you see anything about my parents? Well, you know, premonitions aren't the same thing as seeing into the past. You're talking about 15 and 17 years ago, when I was only 1 or maybe not even born yet. Either way, there's no way that I can look that far into the past. You're totally clueless. Even when Sora and Mayo were killing themselves helping me, you were just sitting there spaced out. Hey, that reminds me. You and Mayo are twins, right? But you're not as good with computers as the way she is. In fact, you don't have any aptitude with them at all. Why is that? And that's when I answered. I said, because we're fraternal twins. Whoa, banana! I remember now, cow. I remember cow now. Cow. Now I remember. You appeared to be malfunctioning. The harsh reality of things must have been too cruel for her to bear. When Sora first told her, Yu went into hysterical, almost crazy, and then burst into a sobbing fit like a child. Maybe she had cried herself out because since then she had seemed so much calmer, but then... Pineapple! She was in bad shape. Are you okay? What's that? Maybe you're a little psychologically strained? No way, I'm fine! I'm starting over from here. No point in moping, right? Oh, enough about me. How about you, Hokutan? Hokutan? Your name is Hokuto, right? So, Hokutan. Cut it out. Don't call me that. Why not? I still can't think of myself as a Hokuto. If I was walking down the street and somebody called Hokuto, I wouldn't turn around. And in fact, I don't think I could. To me, it would seem like they were it wouldn't seem like they were calling out to me. Well, if that's what you think, then that's just too bad. Your name's gonna be Hokuto until you die, and you're just going to have to live with that. But if nothing else, I don't want you guys here to call me Hokuto. I'm so used to being called kid, and you guys are used to it too, right? You can't just switch in the middle like that. Well, I suppose, but still. You really want to stay kid? Yeah, that's fine. I told her how I felt. You really hate Hokuto that much. Listen, for the millionth time, I just don't think that Hokuto is my name. It's got nothing to do with liking or disliking the name. Really? Like I said when we were out talking about Ling Ling and Lang Lang, but, you know, I don't really care what my name is. I'm not fussy and I'm certainly not attached to it, but you can't not care at all. Whether you like it or not, a name is like a billboard for who you are. And if you're going to live in a society, you'll need a name eventually. I mean, anytime that you make a contact or apply for something, take an exam, or get arrested, whatever you say, your name is the most important way to verify who you are. Names are like ID numbers for people. Identification. The words just slipped out, and then What? What did you just say?
You grabbed the back of my head and pulled my face towards her. What?
Just then, just now. Now, kid, what did you just say?
I didn't say anything. I just repeated back what you were saying. You leveled a determined glare at me. She raised her finger and twirled it like a magic wand. She breathed in it through her nose. And I thought she was going to exhale, but she continued to take one long breath in. I covered my ears. She grabbed my hands, pulled them away from my ears, and then, with all the air that she had just sucked in, she let loose right next to me.
I've got it!
She grinned loosely.
Huh?
I just kept blinking at her, and then,
I got it! I see, I sincerely love you!
Suddenly, she, out of the blue, with no warning, she kissed my cheek. A perfect hit. I was a little giddy.
Well, hurry up! Ask me!
Ask?
Come on, ask me! Hey you, what did you figure out?
I did as I was told. Hey you, what did you figure out?
Funny you should ask, kid. You see, you know the reason I couldn't get past the confirmation at limit? I figured it out. All this time, I thought we had the password wrong, right? But that wasn't it. The password was probably fine. An empty fall sky, a single cuckoo calls out, brings a chill to me.
Huh? What do you mean?
So it's gotta be this. It wasn't the password we had wrong, it was the username.
Username?
Yep. A name is like an identification number for a person. It's what confirms who you are. So if we had the name wrong, it wouldn't matter how perfectly we put the password in. Access denied, invalid name or password. I'd seen that message umpteen times. And if you're right, the mother I know isn't really my mother. So it means that her real name isn't Tanaka Yukie, which would mean...
If you knew her real name, you could clear Limi's confirmation?
Exactly!
I tapped on my forehead. But how will you figure out her real name?
Well, Sora ought to know, right?
Before I could say Sora, you had grabbed my arms, and a second later,
ah!
She jumped down off the ruins with a great cry, and pulled off my balance. I fell clumsily through the air. Bam! I nearly toppled onto my head, but managed to right myself like a cat and landed safely. My own excellent reflexes impressed me. And as for you, she was sprawled on her belly in a puddle, and her arms and legs spread awkwardly. You! Are you okay? When I called her name, you hopped up. Water dripped from her hair. She was soaked from head to toe.
Well, don't just stand there, let's go!
She spoke calmly. Flinging off water, she headed towards the exit, and from the back, she looked completely dry. ... I stood for a minute in front of the gates of the Lemurian ruins, just thinking.
If you were right, and the mother I know isn't really my mother, that means that her real name isn't Tanaka Yukie.
So what is her name then? Name. Yu's real name was Yubisei-whaaaaaaat.
Aki?
Autumn. The empty fall sky, a single cuckoo calls out, brings a chill to me. I broke it down by character. Empty fall sky, single cuckoo calling, brings chill. A jumble of bits and illogical fragments. I tried to form them into a coherent pattern, but they slipped away. I couldn't grasp them. But I couldn't help but feel that I had brushed up against another premonition, or at least an intuition. It was a haiku, 17 syllables. I muttered it out loud. The empty fall sky, a single cuckoo calls out, brings a chill to me. Empty fall sky, single cuckoo calls out, brings a chill to me. It was then. Someone was standing in the darkness beyond the entrance to the ruins. A human figure, a female. Her body was giving off heat, glowing redder than red. I couldn't see her face. I could just see that she was there. She was holding her breath in the darkness, staring at me. Who are you? She didn't answer. She didn't come any closer, but she didn't seem like she was going to run. I figured, bathed in light, she looked like she might be a ghost. A phantom girl.
Hokuto?
I heard a tiny voice. Hokuto, my name.
Was she calling to me? Hokuto. Fearfully, I went a little closer. The darkness grew deeper, and at the same time, the light she gave off grew more brilliant. Her outline sprang into view. It had to be. She was the ghost that I had seen. The empty fall sky, a lone Hokuto calls out, brings a chill to me.
And we zip over. Ho-ho! It's Koko. And now we're back in Takeshi's timeline.
The empty fall sky, a single cuckoo calls out, brings a chill to me.
Huh? What did you just say?
The empty fall sky, a single cuckoo calls out, brings a chill to me.
What is that? Is that some kind of haiku?
Yeah.
Why a haiku all of a sudden?
Don't you think it's elegant?
Elegant?
Refined, isn't it?
Refined?
Japanese people a long time ago just started making up haikus one day. So you see, the haiku helped them forget their everyday worries and gave them lots of graceful, happy feelings.
Oh, is that so?
Oh, yes it is.
But listen, Koko, it's not once upon a time right now, and you kind of threw me off guard with your little haiku making there.
Well, I can't help it.
What do you mean you can't help it?
I wasn't talking to you.
What?
I was talking to a life form from another dimension.
Another dimension?
Well, yeah.
Apparently Koko was radiating microwaves. Oh, my head. I could feel my brain start to melt and come out of my nose. What? Wait a minute. My brain couldn't be coming out of my nose. I rubbed my nose with my finger. Something sticky and viscous was stuck to my finger. It was a bright yellow. Crap! Crap, my brain, it's melting! Shut up, it's not funny, stupid! It's your fault that my brain... Koko was stamping her feet, grabbing her belly, and laughing uproariously. Hey, actually, it had happened 30 minutes earlier.
Hey, Takepyeon! Wake up! I can't go to sleep. Come play with me.
And while saying that, she was shaking me, grasping my eyelids and dropping in mermaid's tears as well as squirting mustard up my nose. Giving her a dogged persistence, I reluctantly decided to keep her company. Which meant it wasn't brain soup, it's just mustard. Koko toppled over right into a puddle, splashing water around. She kept laughing and rolling back and forth. Damn it! Koko, do you have a tissue?
I have a handkerchief.
She pulled out the handkerchief out of her pocket and fluttered it at me. The handkerchief was soaked with drops of water. I blew my nose into it mightily. I blew until I blew everything out there was to blow. Well, that's better. I balled it up and gave it back to Koko. That's gross. She carefully folded it up and put it back into her pocket. I thought you're actually putting that back, but I held my tongue. So, what are we talking about?
About caterpillar crawling.
No, we weren't.
Caterpillar, crawly, caterpillar. Caterpillar, boop-be-doop.
Koko began crawling along the floor, flat on her belly. I didn't say a word.
Hey, Takepyeon! I'm not playing caterpillar with you.
Oh, I'm not playing caterpillar with you.
What? Why not?
I'm just not.
No. I want a crawly. I want a crawly pillar.
Koko splashed at the water. I went through this last night. There's no way that I'm making the same mistake today. I swore that to myself. I'm going to bed.
What?
She jumped up and clung to me, sopping wet.
No, I won't let you sleep.
Koko, I'm sleeping whether you let me or not.
Why are you being so mean?
You're the one being mean, Koko.
Oh, Takepyeon, is he gonna abandon poor little Koko? I'll be all alone. Lonely, so lonely.
Why are you being like this? Why don't you come sleep too?
With you? You'll come snuggle with me?
They're not saying anything. I don't think so.
Well, will you at least sing me a lullaby?
A lullaby? Oh, you mean the one that you sang before?
Yep.
I don't mind singing, but I don't remember the words or the tune.
Well, that's okay. It's easy. You'll learn it right away.
With that said, she bursts into song abruptly. I don't know if this is... Can I skip this? Moon sprite shouldering a long bow, waiting inside a dream. Tonight, a story by moonlight, hoping... Okay, all right. It's the same thing. Alright.
Tonight, the whirlpool demon waiting for a boat, hoping the way will be short. Rock, rock, rock to sleep, sleeping, sleeping, held by ocean.
Okay. What was it? As soon as I heard Koko's lullaby, I felt a wondrous tranquility. I felt a tickle in my chest, like someone had blown lightly on me. That breath blew away all the dust and dirt that had built up inside me, and it revealed a precious feeling that I had thought I'd lost long ago. A precious wonder, like the vastness of the sky as it seemed to me when I was a little child, or deep blue waves or the fragrance at twilight. Back then, I thought that the ocean went on forever and that I was transfixed by the beauty of the moon. For better or for worse, a delightfully sweet time. Koko's lullaby called up a sentimental mood in me. Lost in its sweet fragrance, I made the mistake of drowning in it. What a good song. What's it called?
Who knows? I don't know its name. I just call it the Moon and Ocean Lullaby.
Moon and ocean? But don't the verses start with moon sprite and water sprite?
Mm-hmm.
So wouldn't it be the moon and water lullaby?
But at the end of the second verse, it says it's held by the ocean, right?
Oh, that's true.
And my mommy taught me this lullaby. So it's called the Moon and Ocean Lullaby.
What? What was the connection between her mom, the ocean, and the moon? What? Mommy, moon, and the sea? Did that mean, when you say mommy...
Right, Tsugumi. Tsugumi.
Oh, we zip back to Hokuto's timeline, and we're still talking to Koko. Dun 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 dun!
She would sing it to me.
Tsugumi? That's crazy. That's impossible, because no one knows that lullaby except Sarah and me. Why? Why are you laughing?
Hokutan, don't you think it's strange what you're saying?
What?
Right now, you're a little confused. So you showed your true self for a minute. The real you decided to poke his face out for a teensy-weensy second.
What?
Listen, Hokutan, think about it. It's not really that strange for Tsugumi to know the lullaby, right? Mayo-chan could have just taught it to Tsugumi, right? And then Tsugumi taught it to me.
That's not possible.
What makes you say that?
Because...
Maybe you can't answer that? Well then, I'll just answer it for you. You see, Hokutan, you know that Mayo-chan doesn't exist in the world where I live in. That's why you said that's not possible. And that's the reason you thought that there was no way that Tsugumi could know that song. Right?
What?
It's okay. You don't have to be scared. Just be honest with your feelings, okay? There's no reason for you to lie anymore.
I was getting more and more confused. I was being gobbled up by one problem after another, being chewed up for sport, and I felt like I was losing myself. I squeezed my eyes shut and took a big breath and tried to maintain my grip on reality. I opened my eyes, stared at Koko, and asked, the world I live in, what does that mean?
See now, there you go, lying again. You know all about the world I'm in, right? Mayo-chan's not there, and Tsugumi got hurt, and there's another you with a different face. You know all that stuff.
The world Koko was in, another self, Tsugumi injured, where there was no Sarah. What? A world without Sarah? That's right, hang on. Why do you know about Sarah?
Oh, you finally ready to come clean, Okay, then I'll tell you. It's because I know everything. I know everything, so I know about Mayo-chan. And the reason for that is I have ESP.
Stop trying to mess with me.
I'm not. It's true. Okay, let me ask you a question then. Hokutan, how come you know about me? Why did you know about me? That first time we met in the decompression chamber, you said my name, didn't you? And why would that be? It was sort of like some premonition, an insight. Uh-huh. Well, what about Pee-Pee?
What?
You know about Pee-Pee, don't you, Hokutan?
No, I have no idea.
Oh, that's funny. Well, Pee-Pee is this little kitten I have.
A cat?
Gotcha, I gotcha. You fell for it. When I said kitten just then, you did a double take, right? Why would that surprise you, Because you know that Pee-Pee is really a dog. That's why. Stop acting and stop playing dumb. You've known about my world all along. And that's why you know everything. Tiefblau virus, Curie virus, IBF Pygmalion, the terabyte disk. All of them. You've heard all of those words before, haven't you? And this, I bet you remember this. How you and Mayo-chan escaped from 34 meters deep under the sea. How you escaped with Nakio using a siphon. Don't lie and say you forgot. I know you remember. I'm the same as you. And that's why I know about the world you live in and the world that I live in. So, do you understand now? I know everything you know. And I know some of the things that you don't know yet. Things you don't know yet means things. What? Things you don't know yet means things you will come to know later. Alright, I guess I know the things in the future is what Koko just tried to say. I don't know why that was hard for me to read. But maybe I'm telling you way too much stuff, so your mind is getting all mixed up. But I can tell you that you'll understand one day. So I'll say it again. You absolutely can't lie to yourself, okay? Okay? Understand?
I don't understand. Of course I don't understand.
Here we go again.
Koko, what are you? Why did you suddenly appear in front of me? At those words, Koko's face suddenly clouded over. She scrunched up her face and drew her eyebrows together. Tears welled up in her eyes. She blinked to hide them and spoke quietly.
I wanted to see you. I've been waiting for you. Waiting and waiting for you to come. I wanted to see you more than anything. I wanted to see you again. I've been waiting here all by myself. Koko's words drifted into my heart and melted like a light snow. We gazed at each other without even speaking. It wasn't what the words said, so much as that she had said them at all. That moved me so deeply. Before I sought their meaning, I let the simple power of her true feelings flow straight into my trembling heart. I couldn't take my eyes off of Koko's sad, tear-filled eyes. You're not saying anything. Koko laughed softly. I could tell it was a forced cheer. The bravery of that laugh gripped at my heart. I'm sorry, I have to go. We'll be apart again for a little while.
What?
Okay, before I go, I'll tell you something pretty juicy. But I'm pretty sure you figured it out. Hokutan, that dream you saw, it wasn't a dream. It actually happened, okay? Don't forget what I just said, alright? See you later, Hokutan.
The next moment, she was gone. Without a sound, just gone like a candle snuffed out by a wandering night draft. And then I lost consciousness. And we're back to Takeshi's timeline at 8:44 a.m. Okay. I sank down into the darkness for a minute. Pull yourself together, man. I shook my head and gathered my wits. Oh, we have special illustration of
Coco on some stuffed animals.
It's the Coco-chan show! First skit, what if a dolphin were salmon roe? Wow, a big load today, tons of salmon. Let's see, open them up. Cut. Whoa, what's this? Dolphins are pouring out of the salmon? Hundreds of them. Oh no, Mommy, emergency!
The reason I had blacked out must have been Coco's microwaves. They got me. I still hadn't built up an immunity to them. It was pretty rough. Why didn't I ever learn? Why was it that every time I wandered around, my feet kept taking me to her? It was strange. I wondered if she was drawing me to her with some mysterious frequency. Anyway, having finished breakfast, I wandered around Lemu and got sucked into the souvenir shops.
Coco-chan's jokes. If a dolphin was a corpse.
Was that the joke? What was that?
Oh, thank you for coming such a long way. My sincere condolences. Would you like to see my husband's face? Oh, well, certainly. Click, click. Whoa, an eternally sleeping dolphin, and its belly up, too. She looks so peaceful, as if he'd jump up any second, except you couldn't say that because you wouldn't be able to see his face.
She's just losing her fucking mind, I guess. Coco pattered along, shaking a huge stuffed dolphin. Several smaller stuffed animals were strewn about the carpet, and from the looks of the empty cabinet nearby, it appeared that she had pulled them all down from their places on the shelf. It was a childish thing to do. A child. But Coco was 14. 14-year-olds who still played with stuffed animals. I wondered if it was really alright to let her grow up like that. But then I saw her innocent laughing face, and I didn't have the heart to scold her. I suppose she was probably the happiest just being the way that she was, and Coco continued to crack herself up. I continued to watch. And with amusement died down a little, I called to her. Hey Coco, where's Pee-Pee?
Pee-Pee? I think he's right over there somewhere.
My Google is talking to me again. Anyway, I looked over at the kiosk. Woo woo! There. Pee-Pee was gripping a stuffed animal's tail in his teeth, shaking it back and forth crazily. It was a stuffed lemur doll. He seemed completely engrossed in it.
Hey Taki-pyeon, what you doing over there?
What am I doing, huh? You look so happy that just watching you is making me happy. So I guess you could say that I've been watching you and I've slipped into a happy, stupid state.
Taki-pyeon, you're falling in love with me, aren't you?
What?
You like me, don't you? Wow, I can't believe it. He's finally told me how he feels. How embarrassing. I'm blushing. Oh my gosh, a crush. What'll I do?
Bam, bam. Coco balled up her fist and started popping the dolphin's belly with brutal right hooks. Punch after punch, again and again, until the cotton started to pour out. Well,
well, to thank you, shall I tell you a new joke?
No, that's okay.
Why not? You don't have to be polite.
Oh, believe me, I'm not being...
Coco-chan's joke about the doctor and the nurse.
Ignoring my pleas, Coco launched into her joke. It was very long and not funny. It was so bad, in fact, that I couldn't even muster a polite chuckle. It went like so. A nurse named Kate was desperately in love with Robert, a doctor who worked at the same hospital. Robert was crazy about Kate as well. Kate stood on the left side of the room, and Robert stood on the right. Kate slipped out of her white uniform and hung it on the closet door. Robert stripped his uniform off in a bit of a hurry and simply dropped it on the floor. Kate lowered her panties. Robert threw off his boxers. Kate's body was lovely and supple, and Robert was lean and muscled. Kate put on a silk pajamas that he had bought for the occasion. Still naked, Robert turned off the light. Standing in the left side of the bed, Kate turned slowly to the right. On the right side of the bed, Robert turned easily to the left, and they jumped onto the bed and slept. Oh, and by the way, Kate was sleeping in the night duty room and Robert was sleeping in his room at home. That's the joke.
Hey, what's with that face? Ha, I bet you were imagining something dirty, weren't you?
That was the punchline. Koko's laugh was loud enough to hear her across the Pacific Ocean. I guess if there were any nuclear submarines nearby, their sonar guys probably would have been laughing too. I felt the corners of my mouth twitching. Obviously, the joke wasn't funny, but Koko was so amused at the unamusing joke that it was hilarious. All is well, I thought that to myself. According to what we had heard from Sora on the second day, Lemu's partitions would reach their structural limit in only one more day. So, why is it that I felt so calm? Maybe Koko's innocence was contagious. I wasn't even tense, I was lounging around, and if I stayed like that, it could be dangerous. It was fine for Koko to be innocent, but if I got swept away in it, it could be fatal. The thought ran through my head, but as I looked at her smiling face, I couldn't hold on to caution. It was too peaceful. It was like being in a dream. And now we have zipped back to Hokuto's timeline. Oh. Good. Okay. I was in a dream. After Koko disappeared, I blacked out. Maybe I was still stuck in that state. In the dream, I felt choked and oppressed. It was like being plastered up inside thick walls. Unable to move, only my eyes could follow the images before me. I earnestly followed after the fragments of the scenes that unfolded before me.
Hokuton, that dream you saw? It wasn't a dream. It actually happened, okay?
I thought about it. That dream. The dream that I had on the third day, right before I woke up?
You know all about the world I'm in, right? Mayo-chan's not there, and Tsugumi got hurt, and there's another you with a different face.
Tsugumi injured? Meaning it all had actually happened? But no, it couldn't be. The warehouse was still fine, and Tsugumi was as perky as ever. What could it mean?
You absolutely can't lie to yourself, okay?
Koko's words ran together. The scattered fragments of images began to come about together a little until I could make out a vague outline. But I still couldn't see the whole picture at once. It was like a freakishly large mural. Since I was imprisoned in those walls, there was no way I could see the whole thing. What to do? Escape from those walls, escape from those walls. And when I pushed my face out through the wall, it's 9:11 a.m. I woke up. I was in the infirmary, and I looked around. I was alone. I ran out of the infirmary and headed towards Ritterstock. If Koko was right and there really had been an accident and Tsugumi was injured, in any case, I would find Tsugumi and discover the truth myself. But I didn't know where Tsugumi was. So I headed to the control room first. Sora had to be there, and Sora would know where Tsugumi was. So I opened the door. Sora, where's Tsugumi right now? I ran into the room and yelled a loud voice.
What? Kamachi-san isn't here right now.
Sure enough, there she was. Oh, Kamachi-san is here right now. Sorry. Tsugumi, on a chair, turned around to me. What happened? Why are you in such a hurry? Tsugumi, look, sorry, but... On the spur of the moment, I lifted up Tsugumi's skirt. Hey, what are you... She smacks me. A resounding slap. But it didn't hurt. As a matter of fact, I seemed to have lost all feeling in my entire body, because I had seen on Tsugumi's right thigh a faint scar. What is that scar? Scar? The scar on your thigh. This is just an old scar. Old scar? From when? Oh, a long time ago. A really, really long time ago. Where? Where did you get hurt? It was... We zip back to Takeshi's timeline at 3:34 a.m. I was trapped in a gondola, but I couldn't move. I couldn't even shift my eyes. Past the skirt I was holding, I could see the white of her panties, the smooth curve of her thigh, her smooth, silky skin, the scar. There definitely was a scar there, but it looked like something that had healed years ago, leaving only a faint mark of stitches that once closed the wound. 12 years ago, I was infected with the virus, and because of that virus, it rewrote my genetic code. I think this is where Tsugumi's explaining that She's got the I think it's no, it's the Ever 17 virus or whatever it's called. Anyway.
Cells are reborn every day. They are reborn and then die. Normally, the human body is totally replaced with new cells within 5 years. And when I was 12, the cells in my body were infected, and from that moment on, they divided and replaced themselves. 5 years later, all the cells had been replaced. In 5 years, every cell that made up my body had been genetically altered. And that's when the last of the cells had died. The last trace of my 12-year-old self had disappeared, and in that moment, the old me died. The old me died, but the new me became a body that never dies. My immune system and my metabolic rate were remarkably improved. My telomeres began to regenerate themselves. That's right. I will never grow old and never die. My physical growth stopped at a moment in time. I will never grow older than 17. The Curie virus. The Curie virus is a type of retrovirus. Like many retrovirus, the Curie virus is not contagious across species. When people simply say the Curie virus, they're actually referring to the human version of the virus. There are variants, such as a monkey-specific Curie and a rat-specific Curie, but from here on out, we'll only be referring to the human strain. Retroviruses turn their host's RNA into DNA with reverse transcriptase and then inject that DNA back into the host's genes. This means that they can directly rewrite the host's blueprint. Infected cells, which can go on processing proteins as usual, then unwittingly reproduce the virus. And at the same time, the cells with the rewritten DNA go on to divide and multiply, spreading throughout the body like cancer cells. Normally, when the cancer cells develop in a body, the body repulses them into p53 function located in the 17th chromosome. The p53 creates certain enzymes and proteins, and when there has been damage done to a gene, it stops replication and causes apoptosis, natural cell death, and works to repair the damaged DNA, thus earning its name, the anti-cancer gene. Excuse me? The Curie virus mutates this p53 gene as well, rendering it useless. Thus, the Curie infected cells can spread throughout the body uncontested. Then, once all the DNA code is rewritten, the host literally becomes a new species. A new species. And we'll just call it the Curie species here. The Curie species body is endowed with the following unique characteristics. 1. Self-regeneration of telomeres. 2. Great improvement in self-healing. Telomeres are the base sequence located at either end of chromosome and generally become shorter with every replication. After a certain number of divisions, the telomeres get so short that the cell can no longer divide. So telomeres are like the bus tickets of cell division, and once you spend them, they're gone. But not for the Curie species. This new body produces an enzyme called telomerase, which allows unlimited recycling of the bus tickets that normally would already have been spent. This allows almost endless cell division to continue, thereby eliminating aging and weakening. Thus, having said all that, this is not particularly an unusual phenomenon. It happens every day in the normal reproductive cells. Even in most cancer cells, there is rarely a shortage of telomeres. And in that sense, it's not possible to say that the Curie virus turns every cell in the body cancerous. On the other hand, there is no similarly tangible mechanism yet in place for dealing with the process of self-healing. But metabolism is activated and the rate of cell generation is greatly increased. And it is believed that this is what so dramatically shortens the time required to heal after an illness or injury. Actually, there is one more distinguishing characteristic of the Curie species, which is infrared vision. Because of this production, it's lost the faculties of p53. The Curie species possesses a constitution extremely vulnerable to ultraviolet rays. The DNA in the skin is quickly damaged when exposed to the sun for any duration, causing those cells to become cancerous. And in a normal human, thanks to the cancer suppression gene, damaged DNA is let die or repaired. Anyway, but the Curie species cannot do this. It is possible to use another gene to produce an enzyme to perform the same function as P53, but alas, the solution proved to be limited. Therefore, Curie species is very vulnerable to ultraviolet rays and can only venture outside at night. The infrared vision was developed to make up for this shortcoming. I have this unique ability. Having finished a long talk about the Curie virus, Segumi brought that up. Without touching something, I can see its temperature. Infrared vision is also called infravision. So on the second day when you stood in front of the power generator room and you knew it was too hot, that was because of your infrared vision? Yes. Well, how about that? Infravision. Interesting. You don't doubt me? She tilted her head like she was surprised. You believe all this nonsense that I've been telling you? Well, it's an unbelievable story. Viruses, DNA, bodies that won't die, it's crazy. I can't believe it, but I don't doubt it. If you say so, then it must be true. So I guess I have to believe it. The instant that I said that, my body was being pulled. Although it wasn't abnormally strong, I found it impossible to resist her. It was a natural flowing movement. Inside the white gondola, Segumi's body was covering mine. I felt her breath. I felt her pulse. I felt the warmth of her body. The fragrant smell wafted from her neck. A musky smell. A sweet smell. You're kidding, right? She smiled coldly and gazed at me. Don't just say I believe so easily. You think it's irresponsible? It's very irresponsible. How can you believe me? On what basis? None. I have absolutely no basis. Now she's choking me. You see, raising an eyebrow, she put a hand to my neck. Will you cut it out already? She gave me a look that turned my spine to ice, but her hands were trembling. Her coldness was contrived. Calm down, Segumi. I spoke slowly, breathing deliberately. First of all, do you really need a reason to trust people? If so, then you don't have to trust me. Doubt me all you want. But I believe you, even if no one else does. I do. I accept the truth. But there's no reason you should be able to do that. But I can. I want to understand you. Even if it's hard for me to believe, it's the truth. The scar on your right leg, it's almost healed, right? Yes. I can't believe it, but that wound is almost healed. That's the reality, right? That's right. Show it to me again. I'll accept things as they are. You want to see it? She removed her hand. You really want to see? Her voice trembled faintly. She was speaking slowly, in control. If you look, you might regret it. If you knew everything, you might think that there's no way that I could be human. You don't want me to look? If you show me, maybe you'll regret it? The fact that you're not answering, was that a stupid question? If you don't answer me, I'm going to look whether you want me to or not. Don't decide for me. I didn't say I didn't want to show you. The room slid into darkness. Then look. Don't flinch. Look. At everything. I'll show you. Only you. I heard the sound of unfastening in the darkness of the gondola, and in the faint moonlight, the deep sea shined blue. Floating up into the darkness, it was a wound, once etched deeply, but now since healed to almost nothing. I had to squint to see. I might have known if I had gently run my fingers over them. Scars. All over her body. Minutely etched, countless scars. Segumi's shoulders shook with her weeping. She cried silently. I grasped her shoulders. I pulled her to me, fiercely. Tears wet the floor. Segumi cried in my arms, on my breast like a child. And I wanted Segumi, and she wanted me. She accepted all of me, and I accepted all of her. We overlapped until we became one. Woo! Okay, well, good for them. My head rested neatly on Segumi's legs, and she was sitting on her heels. I felt the lovely softness of her flesh on the back of my head. The gondola had circled the floor many times and was moving again through the darkness. Click, click. What's that? I looked above to see Tsugumi holding something in her hand. She was clicking what looked like a pen. I think I heard that same sound in front of the generator room. It's an infrared laser. She smiled quietly and muttered, "What?" It's a convenient thing to have this, if you have the special ability like mine. You're basically doing with your eyes the same thing an infrared night scope camera does, right? If you use the flash of an infrared ray, it makes it easier for you to see in the dark. And since normal people can't see the infrared rays, it just looks dark. But if you have infrared vision, you can see as clearly as you can at high noon. Tsugumi nodded. That's right. I'm fine no matter how dark it is. Tsugumi giggled as she covered up her bare chest. Yeah. When she laughed, it jostled me too, right about that time that it stopped. Hey, Takeshi, can you get up? I sat up as I was ordered. I'm going to count down from 3. Don't close your eyes the whole time, okay? Huh? 3, 2, 1. Click. There was a sound. What did you just do? I blinked. I burned an image. I burned an image of you. Burned? Yep, I burned a pretty good one too. Here. She pointed at her chest. And here too, okay? It's a special image of the pendant! I couldn't see because the shadow of her hand. She was holding something besides the laser. And in the darkness I heard the sound of a thin chain. I didn't know what it was. What do you mean by here? Tell me. It's a secret. All she would give me was a mischievous smile. We're zipping back to Hokuto's timeline! Whoa! Okay, well, that was a fun hour, and I'm gonna cut it off here. Boy, do we have a lot to get through. I guess this is much longer than I remember, or it's because I didn't read everything out loud, so woo! Okay, well, thanks for joining, and I'm glad that we're ending on creepy music. Goodbye! Have a happy holiday!